Nintendo is a name that has come to symbolize generations of gaming and iconic characters. From Super Mario to the Switch, Nintendo's continuously reimagined the way we play. But as rivals invest heavily in more powerful hardware, some shareholders of the company are concerned. Is Nintendo's dedication to its unique business philosophies a strength that'll ensure its success, or that will ultimately lead to its downfall? To understand where Nintendo's going, we have to analyze where it's been. Unlike many industry counterparts, Nintendo did not get its start in the digital age. Nintendo was actually founded as a playing card company named Nintendo Karuta. The cards were a hit, and Fusajiro Yamauchi, founder of the company, began to expand distribution. By 1907, the cards were in stores all across the country. The company name changed a couple of times, first to Yamauchi Nintendo and then to Nintendo Koppai, when Yamauchi's son-in-law took over the company. The playing card company continued to be passed down until it ended up under Hiroshi Yamauchi's leadership in 1949. He immediately began to push for innovations to move the company forward, as it had a bit of a stagnant period when it came to turning a profit. Nintendo became the first company in Japan to produce playing cards made from plastic, and in 1958, the company made a very lucrative deal with Disney to allow the use of Disney characters on Nintendo's playing cards. This collaboration was wildly successful. The company sold over 600,000 card packs in the first year alone. The large profit allowed Nintendo to experiment with other areas of business. The company invested in partnerships with food and appliance companies, as well as a small toy line. Not surprisingly, the toy-making venture was their only successful experiment. But the Japanese toy industry in the 60s was still quite small at this point. It was clear that even though they had achieved mild success, Nintendo could not stop experimenting with other areas of business if they wanted a more secure future for the company. So in 1972, Nintendo switched its focus to video games. The company started small, partnering with established companies like Magnavox and getting their name out there. Nintendo became a regular producer of light guns, the technology used for some arcade games. Partnered with Mitsubishi Electric, Nintendo then released two consoles, the Color TV Game 6 and Color TV Game 15. Each console contained a set amount of playable games based on the number in their name, but no new games could be added. In the early 80s, Nintendo seemed to hit its stride. The massively popular Donkey Kong was released in 1981, followed by games like Donkey Kong Jr. and Mario Bros. The company realized that, while arcade games were profitable, they could make much more money by focusing on the home game market. In July 1983, Nintendo released the Family Computer Console, aka Famicom, in Japan. Over 500,000 units were sold within 2 months. But despite their initial success, there was trouble on the horizon. Nintendo began to receive complaints that some of the Famicom units would freeze while playing certain games. There was a malfunctioning chip, and Nintendo decided to recall all Famicom units that were currently on store shelves. This resulted in a company loss of over $500,000. Nintendo then invested in a redesign of the Famicom, renamed as the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. They attempted to partner with the popular company Atari to launch the console in the US market, but negotiations turned sour, and Atari refused to back Nintendo's launch. Just as the NES was about to be introduced to the US, a recession known as the video game crash of 1983 hit America. This spelled the end of Atari, and dominance in the home gaming market shifted from America to Japan. The recession had taken out most of its competition, so Nintendo had virtually only one major competitor left in the market, Sega, which was another Japanese company. And Nintendo was determined to not make the same mistakes that Atari had. Nintendo only invested in games that received their seal of quality. They released games like Super Mario Bros., Metroid, and The Legend of Zelda, which were immediately popular among consumers. Using those profits, it again reimagined the NES into the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES. It battled it out with Sega, who had just released the Sega Genesis console, and at first, it looked like Nintendo was going to lose. But over several years, the SNES in North America eventually overtook the Genesis. Nintendo tried to increase their lead over competitors by releasing the Game Boy, a pocket-sized gaming system, in 1989, but competition wasn't Nintendo's only problem. In 1991, Nintendo agreed to a settlement with the Federal Trade Commission. The company had been accused of threatening to cut off shipments of their consoles to retailers who discounted the price of their systems. The estimated cost of the settlement was just under $30 million. Nintendo then took another hit with the failure of their Super Mario Bros. Film in 1993. In 1996, the Nintendo 64 was released in Japan, with more than 500,000 units sold on its first day on the shelves. But while it was also successful in North America, the company was facing increasing competition from a company called Sony and their new release of the PlayStation console. Luckily, Nintendo had just released Pocket Monsters, known internationally as Pokémon. The Pokémon franchise proved to be so popular in America, Europe, and Japan that for a brief time, Nintendo took back its place as the top giant in the gaming industry, and the rest is history. Over the next 20 years, Nintendo released a variety of consoles, including the GameCube in 2001, the Wii in 2006, and eventually the Switch in 2017. With the Switch, Nintendo also released the long-awaited open-world RPG The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The company had more than solidified its success in the gaming industry, and was now sitting on a comfortable amount of investment capital. So the big question was, what should they do next? What's the future of Nintendo? The company was wary of creating films based on their franchises due to their previous lack of success. But in January 2018, Nintendo announced that they would be partnering with Illumination to produce an animated Mario film. The film was titled The Super Mario Bros. Movie, and would star the controversial Chris Pratt as Mario, as well as beloved actors like Jack Black as Bowser and Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. When it was released in 2023, the movie was a box office hit. This, combined with the smashing success of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom game, caught the eye of other competitors in the industry. Emails were leaked of a discussion between executives of Microsoft detailing their interest in acquiring Nintendo as an asset to better solidify the success of their console series, the Xbox. But Nintendo had no intent to sell. The company announced a partnership with Universal to build 2 Super Nintendo World theme parks, one in Universal Studios Hollywood and the other in Universal Studios Japan. The Japanese theme park was opened in 2021, followed by the California location 2 years later. Shigeru Miyamoto, executive of Nintendo and creator of beloved game franchises such as Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Pikmin, commented on the nature of Nintendo's current investments. Nintendo had a lot of characters. I think that sometimes Nintendo gets tossed in with other companies in the field of video games, but we've got to think that Nintendo's biggest strength is its characters and how that's used in different types of media beyond just games. As Miyamoto puts it, the Super Nintendo World Parks are an opportunity to drive awareness of Nintendo characters among non-gamers who would otherwise never touch a controller. In this way, we're really trying to leverage all the characters we have, not just limiting ourselves to games, but finding the best media for the characters to thrive in is something we really want to keep an eye on. If there's a business opportunity, we'd certainly love to explore it. But Nintendo's a company with many different talents involved. Nintendo has plenty more in the works for Super Nintendo World, including a planned Donkey Kong expansion at the Universal Studios Japan location in 2024. New theme park locations are also planned for Orlando and Singapore in mid-2025. Miyamoto commented on his excitement for the new locations, saying, "On the way, if I find something new and interesting, I would love to take part in that, especially if there's any kind of new technology. I would love to see which one of our talents would be best suited for that." After a quick pause, he shrugged and added, "Maybe we can send Mario to Jupiter." While Mario's future space travels are unclear, the future of Nintendo is not. Rumors have been going around for years about the Switch 2, and it's been confirmed that Nintendo's set to release the new LED-screened console sometime in mid to late 2024. As the world waits to hear more details, one thing is certain: the future of Nintendo looks bright. And with that, the video has come to an end. Comment down below about your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.